Hi, this is Jan here. The channel Love is Truth, Truth is Love. This is the second video and I am going to talk a little about my journey, and I'm going to introduce to you the 5 most important experiences, and by that also wisdom, that I have gained from that journey so far. We never know, maybe tomorrow brings something new. Anyway, the other day was the super full moon, and I don't know if you have felt like I have, but that really took me down. So basically I have been sleeping for 2.5 to 3 days. At the same time, I'm having a sliding disc problem, so I'm trying to train myself up to being able to handle that, both pain-wise, but also, of course, walking normally again. But that aside, what it shows me is that ascension and the ability to grow into higher consciousness is basically, at least on my body, so obvious. And I know that people around me, my wife and others in our group here, is having the same issues. Maybe not the same trouble, but the same issues. So what I'm going to talk to you about is just to introduce a little more about who I am and what my journey has shown me. And I have a full description of that I will leave in the comments. And of course you're always welcome to question from that, or question from something else. But basically you could say that my true start of this spiritual journey, after many years in successful areas of my life, in business, having my own businesses, being a partner in Deloitte Consulting, being a CEO in many new startups, before startup was even like it is today, something that everyone wants to invest in. And basically I was feeling at the time that I was really in a good process, let's put it like that. And in 2002 I left my partner position in Deloitte, and went into starting the Franklin Covey, you might know, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, in the Nordic area. 2 weeks after I did that and put a lot of money into that, one of my sons came into some serious trouble. And first of all, it took me by surprise. I didn't know that he was involved in things like that. I didn't know that our family was involved in things like that. So it was like a wake-up call for me to dig deeper into what is going on here. I mean, what is our life? What does our life consist of? How much care and love is present in our life, and how much career and just wanting to be something in our life. And it basically drove me into a lot of detailed, let's call it remorse and regrets and all what you can imagine, guilt and so on. And it took me a couple of years to get through that, and I had depression, I was stressed, I lost everything I had built up through 25, 30 years. And basically it was a wake-up call for something different. And in 2006 was kind of let's call it the end of the time for the wake-up call. And I actually received a sliding disc at the time also. That was the most painful at the time. I didn't realize what it was. And I was morphinated for a month until I said to myself, okay, I have to decide what I want to do. Do I want to die in morphine, or do I want to fight myself out of this? And I had the feeling that God was telling me, this is the last chance. You have to put your way of life away. You have to do something else. That was the true wake up. And then a couple of months after I had that experience, I participated in a 10 days spiritual retreat in Oxford in UK. The background from that was actually I had met Dana Soha, which is a theological professor and a quantum physics professor. And she had been reading a lot of books, and I just sent her a letter one day and say, you know, what you're writing is very interesting about spirituality in organizations. Can we talk? And I don't know why I'm writing this letter, but somehow it just talks to me. And that was in 2006, and she said, can you come to Amsterdam tomorrow? And basically I was at that time on my way to Antwerp, where my son was living at the time. Still is, by the way. And we met, and she said, do you want to be part of my core team to blow this out about spirituality in the world? And it was like, what is this about? I had no idea what was going on, and it ended up like this, that on the retreat in Oxford, which was in March 2007, that Dana Soha had me as one of her core team members, and she started the training of 10 days where she had invited people from all over the world, including me and others. And basically after half a day, she said to me, she drew me aside and said, you know, Jan, I have a trouble. I cannot do this. What do you mean? I cannot do this, she said. Physically, I'm exhausted after this half day. Normally I go out and do 2-hour workshops, and now I have 10-day program. And of course I could have told her that you should have thought about that before, but I didn't. And I said, okay, so what can I do? Can you do some of it? I said, but I don't know your program. I don't know enough about spirituality. I don't know about and blah blah blah. All these things that you would find to try to avoid the inevitable. And basically it ended up like this, that actually Dana and her husband was actually teaching in the morning until 11 or 11:30, then go back to their house and rest for the rest of the day, and then come back next morning. And then I was to take all that they had been teaching for the group into how do we apply this in life? How is this possible to apply meditation, to apply whatever we were learning there? A lot of different meditation methods, a lot of understanding of the psyche, a lot of understanding of religion and spirituality as such, and also, of course, about God. And for me, first of all, I was not that experienced as a teacher, but secondly, it was like stuff that I never knew about, and I have told the people there that we had to change the program into this, and they said, well, we trust you, so go ahead. And so I had kind of the backup to do what I needed to do and do what we needed to do, and it became a success after 10 days. But you could say the consequences of that was that I was becoming so ingrained in the whole notion of spirituality, the notion of the tools, that on the last day, the last evening of the program, we were in a visualization process, and the sky simply opened for me. I mean, I saw God's beautiful light. I saw the angels around it. I mean, things that I had never ever been experiencing before. And my energy at that evening was like, wow, what is going on here? So basically what I needed to do was to really calm down when I came home to Copenhagen again. But something strange happened. I could not talk normally. The only thing I could talk about was about the spiritual experiences I had had. And my wife and my kids were like shocked. What happened there, Dad? And what happened with you? And that was like that was a serious turning point in our life, and it took a couple of years with a lot of other things, and then we just had to agree that we had blown apart from each other, me and my wife. We couldn't talk to each other anymore. I was becoming extremely sensitive. I reacted on small things that I never reacted on before, things like that. It was become unbearable. So we decided to divorce. But let's speed ahead. I was told then at the time that you need to go somewhere else. You need to know who you are. And I got that information from a clairvoyant saying to me, go to Bali. Well, Bali, I didn't know Bali. I didn't know Indonesia. I didn't even know Bali was part of Indonesia. So the key here was that I had to go away. And we had to sell our house. We lost everything, honestly. Technically, we were bankrupt. My wife and my kids luckily was grown-ups. So my wife had to find another place to stay, and I basically went off. And some people will of course say, well, you were flying away from the trouble, and that's partly also true, because I was so drained from energy that I had absolutely nothing left. And so I took that I had been told to go away, and got confirmation on that before I went away, by Jesus coming to me in the nighttime and saying, trust yourself and be true to yourself. A lot of these things is, when you hear it first time, sounds completely whack, and I understand that. And I'm not asking you to believe everything. I'm just asking you to trust that whenever it might happen to you, trust it. Don't shy away from it. Don't say that, oh my God, now I'm going to change my whole life and things like that. It's not like that. It's a process that you're called into. So that was my calling. You have to change yourself because you're going to be something else. And now I'm sitting here as a spiritual guide, as a true self mentor, going from a career as a partner in Deloitte and in Franklin Covey. And it doesn't mean that I haven't done some of that before, but that has really, of course, changed my life. I live in Indonesia. I've lived in Indonesia for the last 10 years with my new wife, Ellyssee, and her family. We're living in a small farming area, actually very poor, not so much like fancy cars, fancy clothes, fancy everything. We have enough. And that's fine. And we have a group here of hard workers, young people that we teach to live life more spiritual. So that's kind of the background for the 5 experiences that I then had, and I will give you the 5, and then we will take the next video, which is going to be one at a time with the 5. But the first one is trust God. The second one is surrender everything to God. The third one is trust love and share love. The fourth one is never give up. And the fifth one is everything is divinely timed. So with that, I will leave it in the written statement. I will leave that in the comments, and I will get back to you on those 5 in a short time, one at a time. Thank you for this time. Thank you for listening. Remember to like or share and subscribe. I hope to see you soon again, and will share with you, and based on that we can start also having dialogues based on your questions, based on what you want to share with me. So we can have like a more interactive. We are going to go into a time later where I'm going to use Zoom and will invite you for a webinar of sharing. But right now it's just starting up the channel and trying to get that rolling. Thank you for this time. It has been a pleasure so far, and I hope that you also feel that. Thank you.